To print bubble sheets for an assessment that you've created in eDoctrina, you first need to navigate to the teacher dashboard. There are a number of ways you can get to the dashboard. First, you can either click on Quick Links, Teacher Dashboard. You can also select the Answer Sheets button on the home screen. By clicking here, I'm directed to the dashboard. Here I have my yellow filter pane where I would filter to find the students I want to print the bubble sheets for and the assessment that I'm printing. This screen also allows you to assign assessments online for students, to access our teacher completed screen, to use our new webcam scanning feature, or to navigate to our answer verification screen. Below these main buttons, you also have our reporting buttons. To pull data reports, assign assessments online, or access our teacher completed screen, you will first need to get savvy with the filters. The first set of filters allows you to select the students you would like to print the bubble sheets for. Since I'm logged in as an administrator, I have this school filter available. Teachers will not have the school filter because they will already be logged into their own school. I'll select the school. Then my next step would be to filter the mandatory fields. I can tell which fields are mandatory by looking at the red asterisks. The next filter I would need to select would be my course. I'm going to print bubble sheets for the course of Grade 4 Math. Once my course is selected, then I can select my class. Course has to be selected first before class. When I select my class filter, I get a drop down of the classes that are linked to the particular course I just selected. I'll choose the class I would like to print bubble sheets for. This next filter, Select Students. This filter works itself automatically based on the class and course you've just selected. Where it's saying all students, this simply means all students enrolled in this class linked to this course. You do not have to touch this filter. Since there is no red asterisk, it is not mandatory. I highly recommend leaving it alone. It will pull the students you need based on the class you select. Once I've picked my students in the top row of filters, my second row of filters is to choose where the assessment lives. If I created the assessment in my own district bank, I would select my district. I can skip subject and grade since there's no red asterisk, so it's not mandatory to select those filters. My final filter is to pull my assessment. I can find my assessment one of two ways, either typing in the name of the assessment or if I remember the ID number. Once I type in the ID number, eDoctrina refreshes and will pull up my assessment. My next step would be to select the assessment, click off of the window, and then select the Print Answer Sheets button over on the left-hand side of my screen. We have a variety of answer sheets available. The most popular ones would be Fastest Small and Big Bubbles, Flex Rubric. Our 100-point answer sheet can be used when questions are worth more than 10 points. And our web answer sheet needs to be used if you are using our document camera scanner. For now, I'm going to select Fastest Small Bubbles. You may notice I have a few options below. Show X on Part 1 will allow you to print a bubble with an exclude button next to each individual question. All letter and all numeric, these will default your answer choices to either all letters or all numeric. This is helpful if you're pulling questions from a question bank and the answer choices may be different from the ones you've created in your own test. The last option would be to select capital ABCD / capital FGHJ. This will toggle your answer choices. For example, question 1, options would be ABCD, 2 would be FGHJ, and back and forth. Currently, there are 29 students selected. I'm going to deselect these and print just one so you can see how the answer sheet should look. Once I select my student, I will click Print. Please note, If a new window does not open with your answer sheet, you are most likely being blocked by a pop-up. In Chrome, you can tell if you're being blocked by a pop-up by looking in the top right-hand corner of your screen. You will notice a little red X. You'll need to click on that red X and select Always Allow, and then go through the actions of printing once more. This is my answer sheet for my student Jessie. Some things to take note of on the answer sheets. Each student has their own answer sheet that takes up one full piece of paper. The alignment squares need to be in all four corners of a page, and they need to be clear, crisp, and dark. Please make sure the barcodes are clear, crisp, and dark, that your toner is not running low. Your student name will appear in the top left corner. Their student ID number will appear directly below, and below the ID number is the student ID barcode. Other important things to remember. This is the assessment ID number and the assessment ID number barcode. Data is tied only to the student, so it's important to make sure that the student ID matches the one in your student information system. Here's the name of my test. If I printed any special instructions for my students to see, those will print directly below the title of the test. I would hand this to my students. They would bubble in each question's answer. For 19 and 20, these are teacher-scored questions, which is why they are in a box. That flags to the student to skip past that. The teacher will manually bubble those answers in. Once your students have bubbled in the answers, your next step would be to walk them down to your main office or faculty room copier or scanner, scan them to eDoctrina, and as long as your email is in eDoctrina and your assessment is linked to a course, you will receive a data verification email once your bubble sheets have processed and your data is ready to view. Some extra options when it comes to answer sheets. If I select my More Printing options, I have the ability to print specific numbers. For example, if I had a large assessment and day 1 I was only giving part 1 of the test and day 2 I was giving part 2, I can tell eDoctrina to print questions 1 through 50 and then reprint 51 to 100. I would also highly recommend printing 1 or 2 blank answer sheets with each batch of answer sheets you print. If I print one answer sheet and select print, the blank answer sheet looks like this. The teacher will write the student's name here. You can write your teacher name here, but the most important field would be where the student ID number goes. You can either enter the student ID number in the first few cells, in the last few cells, in the middle cells. If it's a small number, please do not add leading zeros or zeros on the end. Whatever the ID number is, please plug it in as is, anywhere in these cells. If you're using a blank answer sheet, since it does not have the student ID barcode, it's going to be processed by our manual servers, so it may take a little bit longer for that data to appear. Next, I'm going to show you the difference in scoring the bubble sheet using the 100-point answer sheet. The 100-point answer sheet looks slightly different than the smaller big bubbles. The main information is now shifted on the sides of the sheet. I still have my student name, but now my student ID number is over on the right-hand side. My test ID number is now on the right-hand side. The only difference with scoring the 100-point answer sheet is in the teacher-scored questions. For 19 and 20, you may notice that there are 2 rows for each number. When you're scoring a 100-point answer sheet, you have to utilize both rows. For example, if question 19, the student scored 12 points, you would bubble a 1 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. If they scored a 20, you would bubble a 2 on the top and a 0 on the bottom. If they scored a 7, you would bubble a 0 on the top and a 7 on the bottom. If they scored a 0, you would bubble a 0 on the top, a 0 on the bottom. If you have a question worth 100 points, eDoctrina will print a 100 bubble right in this blank space here. Answer sheet turnaround time can take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours on a regular school day. During beginning, middle, and end of the school year, when pre- and post-assessments are being scanned, that would be our high-volume scanning time, and scans can take up to 24 hours to process. Please keep this in mind when you're scanning your bubble sheets, especially if you need data immediately. Again, as a reminder, the fastest way to know when your data has processed is to make sure your email is in eDoctrina and your assessment is linked to a course. If both of those fields are checked off, you will receive that data verification email.